tell me what the manifesto is. Tell me what the message is. What is the main theme in Raw Egg Nationalism for people that haven't read it and are going to be interested by this discussion to go out and buy that book, and so that they can be influenced by your work and your ideas. What is the manifesto element within the Raw Egg Nationalist book?
Well, what I suppose I'm trying to tell people is that food is political. Food is very, very political today. And certain people would have you eat particular foods for particular reasons and not others. I mean, that's the focus on raw eggs. I mean, is because raw eggs are basically the opposite of the kind of food that a leftist globalist would eat today, and is the opposite of the kind of food that we will all possibly be eating if COP26 and the sort of global climate change agenda is enforced. So frankenfoods, soy, heavy grain-based diet, maybe with some fake meat every now and then. So I'm trying to tell people basically to take control of their lives by taking control of their lives by taking control of what they eat, and that is the first step towards, I suppose, a better political settlement for everyone, because the same forces that are telling you that you can't eat red meat, that you shouldn't eat red meat, you shouldn't eat eggs, you shouldn't work out, are the same forces that are trying to deprive you of your private property, reduce you to the status of a modern serf, basically. That's it in a nutshell, really.
Yeah, fascinating to me to hear you say food is political. It truly is. The vision for the general populace in the United States doesn't involve people eating eggs and steak and chicken and fish all the time. It involves you eating a bunch of grain-based slop and fake meats and soy such. And that stuff directly leads to diminished health, which leads to diminished men. You can't have a great society without great men. That's not something I made up. It's all throughout philosophy and history. I think I most recently read it in C.S. Lewis. You have to have great men to have a great nation, and men are what they eat. So feed them a bunch of slop, both metaphorically and actually literally, in order to weaken them. And it's coming at us from all directions, right? It's in the media, it's in your schools, it's in your culture, it's in the politics, it's in your food, it's in your physical aesthetics, it's in your ideas of beauty and art and order. It's in your ideas of what is healthy and what isn't. It's in whether or not being metabolically healthy is a good thing to be. By the way, I'm going to plug my friend's book. Dr. Philip Ovadia just released a book today on metabolic health. It's probably the most important book of the year, I'd say, because if everybody had read and listened to this book 2 years ago, 5 years ago, we may not have been in the circumstances that we are in most recently. So go and check that out. Metabolic Health by Dr. Philip Ovadia. It's for sale today. And this sort of unity of an integration of the mind, the body, the spirit, and the heart. The war afoot around us is so pervasive, and the forces of evil are so powerful that you can no longer ignore any one of those four elements. And you have to be an integrated man in order to withstand the onslaught of the mental, the physical, informational, and spiritual war that's going on around us, in which every single person is a combatant, whether you know it or not. There's no distinction between military and civilian. And in fact, the players at work are not all necessarily even nation states. No. And so you must be integrated in all four of these areas. And one of the stories in your magazine that I wanted to talk about that relates to one of these elements, we've talked about the physical, we've talked about the health element, the strength element, the power element, we've talked about the beauty element, the aesthetic element. Obviously, you're well read and intellectual, so we not necessarily have to talk about that. Feed your brain, guys. Books for cultured thugs is a real thing. Please get on that. Read the great books. But Let's talk about the story of King Clovis. It's a story that I had not heard before, and I really appreciated it. And it's coming to me at a time in which I myself am, I've called it Bible curious.
Yep.
I've been reading and I've been praying. I haven't been baptized. I haven't made the big commitment or outward statement yet, but I'm nibbling, I'm trying, I'm having positive experience. And so tell me the story of Clovis. Tell me the genesis of why you told the story, and then tell the story. And then let's talk about why you chose it and how it relates to what's happening in the world today.
Well, I wanted to with issue 4. I tried to make the magazine as magazine-like as possible. So before, I sort of had just been doing kind of whatever I wanted, and then I thought, well, actually, what I'll do is I'll have some short sections at the beginning of the magazine, like you have in Playboy, where you have like a cocktail recipe, and you might have a short facts and figures section, and that kind of thing. So I said, oh, it'd be quite nice to have a one-page biography of some historical figure that people don't know about but should know about. And so I put that out there, and then a friend on Twitter said, "Oh, why don't I do a biography of Clovis, King of the Franks?" And he did, and he wrote, and he did a very good job. He did a very good job. It's I don't actually I don't actually have the story in front of me, so I can't remember the specifics. Have you got it up there?
I've got it. Let me dig it up. I've got it right here. I printed out the whole magazine. Oh, before we get there was a great quote that you had on the second page, whatnot, and this really hit home to me, by C.S. Lewis. Again, this guy's following me around the universe. Those who cannot conceive of friendship as a substantive love, but only as a disguise or collaboration of eros, betray the fact that they have never had a friend. And that is such a powerful quote. And to translate that into plain English, what they're saying is, and what he's saying, and why it's relatable to today's time and age, is because if you're friends with a guy, someone will be like, "What are you guys, gay?"
Yeah.
And that has been weaponized homophobia, is what I call it. I don't believe that the real issue is like promotion of homosexuality, but I mean, deviance is out there. I want to back that up. Deviant in a technical sense, right? It's out there. But the issue here is that the weaponized homophobia, like preying on everyone's fears of being called gay, has been the way that they've destroyed male friendship. Destroyed the sense of agape, right? Like true manly love. And this quote here, again, those who cannot conceive of friendship as a substantive love, but only as a disguise or collaboration of eros, betray the fact that they have never had a friend. I love that. It's a fantastic quote, and it means a lot to me. So thank you for having that in here. But generally, the story, if I can't find it real quick, about Clovis was that he was king. Here it is. He was king, and he was involved in a great battle. And on the battlefield, this guy, he's a pagan at the time, right? This is in the 5th century, 466 AD, it says. And on the battlefield, he raised his hands to the sky and cried out a prayer to Jesus Christ. And he says, "I beseech the glory of thy aid, and with the vow that if thou wilt grant me victory over these enemies, I shall know the power which he says that people dedicated in thy name have had from thee. I will believe in thee and be baptized in thy name." And it says here that after this heartfelt prayer, the battle miraculously turned in Clovis's favor. True to his word, Clovis was baptized, but he lost none of his northern power and virility. One anecdote in particular demonstrates his remarkable simplicity and vigor. It is said that the king, upon being told for the first time of Christ's sorrowful passion, wept and exclaimed loudly that if I had been there with my valiant Franks, surely I would have avenged him. Now, this magazine is speaking to me on so many levels. The C.S. Lewis quote is right at the beginning. You've got the story about Clovis, a guy going through trial and tribulation on the middle of the battlefield, reaches out to Jesus Christ, finds the Savior, becomes baptized, and becomes a Christian king of the Franks. converting pagans. I don't know the whole story, so maybe converting some pagans or beginning the conversion into Christianity.